It's a great fucking book, first I gotta say, on and off base. But I noticed there are a decent number of pelican photos in the book. I know you've taken a lot more pelican photos in your life because I've seen them in emails. But do you think pelicans are sexy?
What I like about pelican, well, there's a lot of things, but do you know they have no song?
No song at all? No, I did not. How do they communicate?
See, some truths are higher than words, Byron. And this is what the mystery of the pelican is for me. I think they have voices when they're babies, but then they have.
So they're silent though, completely?
They have no song.
Crazy, man. The setting for these photographs is heavily canted towards one of the 3 P's in your philosophical statement: pluckin', peddlin', and paddlin'. Do you have any thoughts on doing further books that focus more on plucking or peddling?
Yeah, now that is taken from the last part of my second opera, which is called Pelican Man.
Right.
Pelicans don't have a song. So some of these truths, it's like when Dante, which I doubled for that opera, he says, I'm at a loss for words. I can't explain this.
Well,
Pluck it, look. The Commedia was Inferno, Purgatory, and Hell.
Right.
And I used it for the sickness, the healing, and then plucking, peddling, and paddling was heaven for me. I was only 42 years old. I had a lot of work. I wasn't ready to die.
that's true, but you've done a book now that is really paddling. Pictures of paddling.
And peddling.
There's peddling in there too?
Yeah. They ain't all from paddling. Some of them is from peddling. The thing they have in common, it's Pedro and it's crack of dawn. This is a good man. He's just trying to find shit out.
Well, you know, it's obvious that the focus of your photos is very Pedro-centric. You've made hometown pride a very central part of your stance. But what did the local kids there make of your pre-Minutemen quartet, the Reactionaries, when you started? And what kind of gigs were you able to get there? Were there people to play with, or?
Yeah, it was the same with the Minute. It was very difficult to play there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be so provincial. It is Pedro-centric.
Pedro-centric.
Because that's where I live.
Right.
But I wouldn't want to say it's better than other people's towns.
Uh-huh.
And it was tough for us. But you know what a farmer would tell you if he wanted a good crop? Use a lot of manure. So I think that experience, I think it helped us.
So what was the reaction like, though? Like to,
knock it off, no ways, you suck, and shit like that.
I mean, did that change at some point with the Reactionaries, or did it?
No, the Reactionaries before the Minutemen.
Right. But with the Reactionaries, did that stance ever take the stop the you suck, get off stage? Did you guys ever really find an audience in Pedro?
No. In fact, we broke the band up and changed the name because we were going to get killed for being at a gig where the team post got wrecked by people from Hollywood.
Right.
The cops actually had to lock us in, everyone in the building to sing from the neighborhood. They didn't understand somebody with White Riot on the back of their jacket. They didn't know it was a Clash song.
Right.
No, it's true. We're talking 1978.
So then after that band, Martin left, and actually George wasn't in the original version of the Minutemen.
No, well, their name Frank Thompson. Yeah.
Right.
D. Boone never gave us a song either. He's holding for the other band. D. Boone had another plan. I think Reactionaries was just holding pat. What happened was we saw some punk gigs, and I told him we could do this, but he didn't want to make a band, so I answered that recycle I had. I went to West Hollywood and jammed I Want to Be Your Dog with some cats for 3.5 hours. He says, okay, I'll make a band. So we did Reactionaries with me, but it wouldn't give us any tunes. So they were all my lame suck-ass ones, you know. And then he held them out for the Minutemen. Nothing against George or Martin or anybody, but you're a younger man.
That's true. What was the first punk band that you ever saw live?
Bags.
Bags. Where?
Whiskey. And with weirdos. In fact, the drummer was from Pedro, and Nicky B.
Oh, really?
Told us there was a scene, he was wearing a Kotex around his neck. they were closing down the Army base, and this drummer man that we jammed with was renting a rec room. And he said there was a scene where people wrote their own songs, which sounds naive now, but in those days, nobody wrote their own fucking songs.
Right.
Best guy was the guy who played Black Dog the best. We never thought of music like expression. It was like building models. It's arena rock.
Right.
You know, we didn't know about clubs till pub. And his name was Jeff Avisovich, actually.
Right.
But they had fake names, they had wild clothes, they wrote their own songs. They were just learning and they weren't scared. And that blew our fucking minds and changed us.
You guys never had punk names though, did you?
They thought they were. Yeah, Boone, Watt, you know, they thought we made that shit up.
In the book, you mentioned playing at the Montrose Jazz Festival.
Stooges.
That was a Stooges gig?
Yeah, that's Stooges.
Wow, that's
It was sweaty. It's like all hardwood and there was no air.
right.
But it was an honor to do, yeah. I remember the Les McCann compare.
Yeah, right.
Try to make it real compared to what?
Did you guys
God damn it. You guys know that one, right? I think that's the first time I heard jazz. I didn't even know it.
Right.
John Coltrane.
Yeah, I know.
Right here.
Coltrane is really a central hero for you. When did
He's
you?
here as a sailor, you know.
When did you first discover Coltrane's music?
Paul?
Punk?
Yeah, Raymond played me a bunch. I learned about, I grew up in Navy housing, I didn't know.
Right.
Anyway, the punk people taught me about it, and I thought they were punk people that were just a little bit older. I didn't know he was dead. I didn't know about bebop and the shit had been going by the 40s. I learned all kinds. Raymond Pettibone was a big teacher, and art like Dada. We learned. People could paint. We didn't know there was people really fucking with the forces at B.
Right.
So we were into that.
But Coltrane has been a really central, figure for you ever
Train
since.
seems like, yeah, he was really into the ideas. Being into music is getting at some kind of truth.
Right.
And he was into crack.
Yeah.
10, 12 hours, right?
Right.
It was not a pose.
Right.
He didn't try to say he was better than anybody, but I think one idea would lead to the other, and he wanted to chase his shit down. And so me is, whatever you want to call, he's the weird trippy fabric that connects.
Right.
He's kind of a messenger.
Right.
By example.
But that was a big influence then too, was the idea of a sort of constant practice kind of playing.
I think with Minutemen it was.
Right.
Without us knowing it. Yeah, God, I never thought about it.
Right.
Freedom to sell.
I'm curious if playing with the Stooges provided some of the same ecstatic spiritual rushes listening to Coltrane. I mean, was that
all the
similarity?
Stooges music was its own music. Everyone in high school hated it. It was so out there, man. And then when punk came and we finally heard what it was like cats like that, and maybe Beefheart too. They already were doing it, and they just didn't have a name for it. But yeah, ecstatic. That's where I connected on it. It was the rush. That's why I thought it was part of the same movement. I didn't know it was before.
So when you actually got the Stooges gig, I mean, how freaked out were you?
Oh, well, I mean, the call. I was in Tallahassee at a club called the Cow House with my second man, and I was on the phone. It was Ig, and he says, "Hey, Mike, Ronnie says you're the man." I couldn't imagine making a call like that. He said, "Will you do me a favor? Would you wear a t-shirt instead of a flannel?" I said, "Fuck yeah." So I got it from John Fogerty. You know what I meant? D. Boone, all he knew was Creedence.
Right.
I couldn't hear what the fucking bass was doing in them Creed songs. His mama put me on bass. So I thought, fuck, I wear the shirt. So I said, "What about Converse and Levi?" He said, "That's strong." I said, I mean, it was really a trip. That whole thing. And maybe it was that sickness from that second opera.
Right.
Because J Mascis,
right?
He asked me to come and play with him. And we stopped in Ann Arbor. He tells me, "Why don't you call Ronnie up?"
Right.
And we take him off. Yeah, it's weird how shit happens.
And you guys had done stuff, the Wild Rat stuff also.
We did a movie.
Right.
That's how, yeah. And Ronnie came to my gigs. Colonel took me. But it's a trip how things end up that way. It's not all it's not all about managers and people with power doing lunches and connecting things. Sometimes, you know, like D-Boon jumping out of that tree on you, it just happens.
Right. So the most recent Missing Men record, the hyphenated man thing.
The only Missing Man.
I think seems like a real kind of return to form in a certain way. Like you're playing kind of what some people would think of as being some of the classic sort of Mike Watt style songs in terms of delivery and a really kind of telegraphic sort of lyric sense, shortness and stuff like that.
Oh, the form, yeah.
Yeah, the form. So
We actually got it from this band called Wire in England.
Urinals.
And they were a big influence too.
Right.
And when we wanted to do it our way, but this idea that you can decide how long a song is, that was power.
Oh yeah.
You know, especially, in the pop group putting Beefheart together with P-Funk just because they could.
Right.
Yeah, I know that sounds fucked up and easy thinking, but those days we had so much Berlin Wall in our fucking heads about how things should be and shouldn't be. So these people helped us, and I had to help these guys. Well, I was asked to help Tim and Keith make this We Jammy Kind of documentary. So I had to listen to them again. You know, you should make me sad.
Right.
And when I heard it, I wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do a Happy Days thing, you know?
Right.
So I used that form, but I sang about being a 54-year-old punk rocker. Tony Mamoni here in Brooklyn helped me at the Studio G. They played for us at the Modern Dance, and the Whiskey, and it just blew up my minds. I think he told me that the drummer man forgot where he parked the boat. When you meet the people, it's a trip. Because you know what they're like? Lightning bolts are like people to help you not be scared. But not totally to copy if you have respect.
Right. But so it's really like...
So even with Georgie and D-Boon, I shouldn't be copying them.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to sing about being in late.
Do you like that format of song though? I mean, are you gonna stay more with that, doing some stuff like that? 'Cause it seemed like you got away from it totally for
I did.
a good long period.
Actually, I do with that too, because it's really one song, 30 parts.
Right.
The next album I'm going to do is a collection of songs with the second man, and they're both longshoremen, so it's not going to be opera. It's going to be about work.
Right.
I think D-Boon would like me to make a record about work with Pedro guys.
Right.
That's my next album. I got one to mix with Nels Klein on Bob Lee called Black Man. It's already recorded, and Nels is intense.
Right.
Oh my God. And it's not an opera, but it is around the concept of the autumn.
Right.
Like not spring, but hopefully not winter.
So whatever happened to the Pettibone film where you play Fidel Castro?
Never got done.
Did it never get finished?
I did mine. Dick Root did his.
Right.
And then I dropped the ball. Actually, the tapes are kind of lost. I'll get to it. His mom helped film it.
Oh, really?
But there are Pettibone films that didn't get complete. The ones he did, one about Jim Morrison, one about Weather Underground, one about being in a punk band with Mike Kelly in the 70s.
Sir Flea, that's good.
Sir Drone.
Sir Drone.
Oh, Sir Flea.
My mistake. But so in the new book, I noticed also there's some poetry. When did you start actually writing poetry? Is it like?
It's like the opera thing. Yeah, shit, I never expected to do. Ow. That's how audacious punk is. It makes you want to do shit like that.
Right.
It's not a style of music. It's a state of mind.
Is poetry for you? Is it more like writing lyrics, or is it more related to like journal stuff or some of the other writing?
No, with the poems, they got to be the whole band. They have different lyric.
Right.
The lyric is to go with the band.
Do you do any spoken word performance stuff ever, or?
I stutter a lot. I've done some.
Right.
With Henry and Richard Meltzer. Oh yeah, that's right. I read some Minuteman. You're right. On the 25th anniversary.
Right.
And I did something called The Battle of the Macho Poets with John Doe. Hank wore a dress. Richard Meltzer. That was me getting to be with some heroes.
Right.
But I don't know if it's my strong. I think the thing I work hardest at is the bass, but I'm trying some of this other stuff.
Right.
That's why it's great with the Three Moon Press people with this book, you know.
Yeah, right. Now the Spielgusser thing that you did with Meltzer.
Yeah,
that was a project that sort of was on and off for a long time. Have you done any of that stuff
Well,
live?
it's going to be a minute.
Yeah. I mean, originally it was planned as a Minutemen.
Well, I gave D. Boone the copies of the lyrics when he went on that van last night, and 9 of the 10 are in this piece. There's 63 pieces altogether. I've been thinking of, you know, in the Minutemen days, we divide the world into gigs and gigs and flyers, 2 categories. And so work was very much a verb. I think now work is a noun too, so I want works. And I could give that to Richard. And Richard even told me, you know, something, he said something like tombstone, but we didn't mean
Right.
we didn't mean like, but you know, I mean, like me and Richard are guys that never had children.
Right.
So our works are just the closest we get to give to the next shift. I got to see a member of the new shift, Mr. Bo Willow Pettibone. Yeah, he's 15 weeks old.
Yeah.
And maybe he works the days.
Right.
In the future. It's trippy about that, but for Richard, that was really important for me to do, man.
Right.
All of them are, really.
Did you actually record with them, or was it done separate? Or?
He just, oh no. He gave us, in 2004, he did all these spiels and then floated them. I tried to ask other musicians to do this with me, and they got weirded out.
Right.
Mr. Shumi Mizuko, they don't know English so well, so. Oh, Mr. Richard uses some profanity.
Yes, he does. Do you have any thoughts of doing that stuff live at all, or any of the spiels or stuff? I mean, Meltzer is notoriously, like, difficult rhythmically to work with. Do you ever see Vom?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, have you ever heard, like, a
I mean, like your mom?
singer?
I don't know.